live here at Old City Hall where the Moors have returned. Sir, do you have anything to say about this matter?
Yeah. Love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice.
Yep.
Sir, what do you have to say?
I just want to put it on the record. I'm not right. Yeah, what he said.
Moor's life matters.
More lives matter. It seems like black lives don't matter. More lives matter. Shot in the back, running or choked out to death on the corners. Mistakes his taser for his sidearm, says the coroner. To the yellow journalist that won awards for writing facts. For World Wide Web press stories, always calling them black. Civil rights violated, here comes C1-7. And CIA and FBI agent, brethren felons. With what Big Brother once heard. Most Moors are nerds and study more than if I'm on the road, no biting curbs. No threats of nooses or fighting for survival. Making Moors martyrs won't happen, calling us Captain Rival. Inquisitionists, governors, and secretaries of state got stateless on their tables like ribeye steak. With no care, blood dripping, they eat blacks rare. Foreigners wearing 6-point badges, pretending they're heirs to the vastest estate, Muguri Balaksa. Stateless blood flow past a horse's brow, I swear it's agua. Demons thirst quench, stealing pioneers and organs. Psychiatry, death industry, the stars selling black orphans. And half-closed coffins, cause legs are missing, killing stateless people, cancer won't even see remission. More lives matter. But it seems like black lives don't matter. More lives matter. Cause it seems like black lives don't matter. More lives matter. Cause it seems like black lives don't matter. More lives matter. Cause it seems like black lives don't matter.
System, what system? Not gonna make myself no victim. Run down and kick them up, educate oneself and flip them. All of the titles or nationality strips them. Must grip reality in order to really grip them in this third dimensional illusion. Organized chaos, confusion, stealing your attention, mental intrusion. Universal laws, declaration of the ancients. I self-law and master from the rooftops to the basements. Hoop deep to the spaceship, ever since all creations. Celestial foundations, ocean floor to the ranges, to the mountain tip, to the cosmic infinite. Basically, we are way above the shit. In other words, get in tune with spirit. Take a breath and accept. Mental polarity, gender, rhythm, correspondence, vibration, cause and effect.
More lives matter. But it seems like black lives don't matter. More lives matter. Cause it seems like black lives don't matter. More lives matter. Cause it seems like black lives don't matter. More lives matter. Cause it seems like black lives don't matter.
More lives matter cause I sing it no sound off. It gets defective when rejected, looking ass off. Get my perspective on direct, keep to replay. All the news that on replay until they want to cast off. Bury them, on to the next one. Enough of them are gunning down. Dudes them a cast cross. Can't believe I told me that. Can't believe a Taj Pass. Trayvon, Michael Brown died for us to find cause. The afterlife visited the class brawl. Who they really want to see with the crown on high and the garbs on free? I am free and you know business but your land or your country to seek your inalienable rights. The insatiable delight of knowing thyself and bringing all injustice to light. For the fight is your plight, make your sight for the bright. I'm the mic in the night, foresight for you to realize that, huh?
More lives matter. Cause it seems like black lives don't matter. More lives matter. Cause it seems like black lives don't matter. More lives matter. Cause it seems like black lives don't matter. More lives matter. Cause it seems like black lives don't matter. Most don't learn till it's too late. Most say that they real but they too fake. Most act minor but think they too great. Most meet fate just cause they too bait. Most don't learn till it's too late. Most say that they real but they too fake. Most act minor but think they too great. Most meet fate just cause they too bait. Welcome to Scarborough. Youths want cash without tango. Candle magic got me calling on Shango. When I strike, I'm coming from lightning angles. Wet up in your ride like dangles. Know your place. When me and the God step into place, devils get step in their face. No matter your race, watch your speech. We defend peace with justice. Love for the God make you shit like mustard or run like custard. Too slow, so you know how it go. Send him to Assad. I'm not the one to judge you, bro, or judge you, sis. Humanity written from hip to hip, but you're shaking them and not getting your womb equipped. Degrading yourself for women's rights, not saving yourself. Turning a dyke, but won't spiritually raise yourself. Waste of sperm, can't even wait to perm. Getting viruses and symptoms, you're thinking it's germs. Making so many mistakes, from none you learn. Seeing your future as the fucking cauldron turn. Ease the burn of your young son's death. Blaming the influence, but never blaming yourself. Driver shot, but never a crooked cop. Crip shot, but never a racist cop. Racism doesn't exist, so stop. Rex 84, King Alfred got him on the block for chopping. Nigga mortus, abuse ain't stopping. Guns on your shirts, but your pistol's not cocking. Popping and locking, guns jam for 10 you're locked in. Or eternal sleep in a closed coffin. Most don't learn till it's too late. Most say that they real but they too fake. Most act minor but think they too great. Most meet fate just cause they too bait. Most don't learn till it's too late. Most say that they real but they too fake. Most act minor but think they too great. Most meet fate just cause they too bait. They got you stuck on some fakeness. We revealed this, you heard of us. Official lower self-murderers. These Moors come equipped for warfare. Tam or Kufi, these Sufi are my corp of Mufti. For all those who wanna profile and pose. See a nigga dressing or a fag made his clothes. You all alone in that gear, cousin. Gangsta hardcore thugs, you just frontin'. Cops keep them fake crews running like they supposed to. Rich like Scarface, you never come close to. I can see it, eyes tell no lies. Assalamu alaikum, selling white sugar in those bean pies. Giving dollars to Doc's lawyer who took the bar. And between you and your leader, he's being a bar. Some say I'm rude, blame Brother Dawood or Azariah. Pastor Beverly, the Messiah. David Walker, action not a talker. Sleepwalker, wake up, you're just daydreaming. Dirty Moors don't wanna be God and stay heathen. I can't believe what I'm seeing. Most don't learn till it's too late. Most say that they real but they too fake. Most act minor but think they too great. Most meet fate just cause they too bait. Most don't learn till it's too late. Most say that they real but they too fake. Most act minor but think they too great. Most meet fate just cause they too bait. Rappers think they hot, niggas warm like Luke. Oops, call them dirty Moors is what we taught to do. Not the Klansmen, burning some cross for you. If he's got a speechwriter, who's the boss to you? Voting for Obama, I see he's off like you. I walk, don't need a boxed up Porsche like you. Loving the Fiat, dirty Moors thugging for Fiat. Grabbing old ladies' purses, they mugging for Fiat. Some taking, some baked, for Fiat they drugging. Fiat is back by nothing, fam, I'm not bluffing. Players hands on their ass like it's turkey they stuffing. Doing it for your boys, treat your girl like nothing. Matriarch rules, patriarch fools. I'm seeing gods act like men, thinking like mules. Square my rough edges without mason tools. I never took an oath, so I'm revealing mason rules. Most don't learn till it's too late. Most say that they real but they too fake. Most act minor but think they too great. Most meet fate just cause they too bait. Most don't learn till it's too late. Most say that they real but they too fake. Most act minor but think they too great. Most meet fate just cause they too bait.
So I just want to get you in. What? What? I'm rockets. Who says we ain't in the building? Who says we ain't into building?
We the Moorish master masons, architects for your children, repping Friday 13th like Jason, without the killing. But we promote life, oh, it's all about the feeling. And we invoke light, yo, we them light beings. Though you might see him on the block getting his portion, might be talking to cops, giving them caution. Occasionally wearing his vest when he's walking, see the turning heads, whispering gawking. But he's locked in, and he's zoned out while we boxed in our own
We
house.
study the mystics, the adepts, the magi. Wisdom of the ancients can uncalcify eyes. Possible mission, free mental numbness. Extract the substance, rid minds of dumbness. Use the source, don't care what some purport. As we know by being told, man knows not. Many before the floor, souls got bought. Placed in the devil's hands, ruling the seven lands. To dogma rituals, Negro spirituals. Brainwash subliminal, keeps thinking to a minimal. They're still criminal, in a world digital so pitiful. Mental survival so critical, it's visible. Can you see past righteous blocks? Hashtag zombies with waves of cyber thoughts. No need for cell phones, they speak through saw palms. It's nothing for alarm, chips and forearms.
Wind, brass, and bass, such a beautiful serenade. Women feeding me grapes, I'm feeding the new serenades. Whether the sky is clear or gray, rain when you hear a fake, giving life to seed. Speaking through who not here today. Show you the future in a glimpse. And always look to these holes like hallucinatory pimps. Sun walked the desert, been Marvin since I found God. Look back, used to see his prince. Forget being a prince, I'm a G. OD, grown man, no Jody. Deny it, you don't know me. Don't make me tap into the old me. That's like a couple hundred years. Walk around town with a couple hundred peers and release the peace of her fears. The sun gon' shine, so what tears? This young brother here just trying to get his third eye clear.
Ish, deep, Moors don't sleep. Invest in your mind and body and unleash. Real life rap, spitting over tracks. Conscious thinking and living and then attack. Ish, deep, Moors don't sleep. Invest in your mind and body and unleash.
Yeah.
Real life rap,
Yeah.
spitting over tracks.
Yeah.
Conscious thinking and living and then attack.
So as the moon sets, the sun takes its place at spoons on blocks, inspired spots, filled spaces, peel back, rats, who got cases, fire stain the corridors of flemmo faces, game changers, rule benders and no pretenders, style lenders, channel my vibe through the vibrant optic lenses, send a message to our veterans, soldiers up and get it in, we on our verge, we are merged subliminal beings, third eye seeing, still a participant unwilling.
They wanna break me, shake, bake, grade me, rolling with my name G, double O-M-G, S-O-N is crazy. For a minute that you think you could take me for a fool, like a native to his land, being schooled by a foreign dude. You mistaken me, spiders on the roof, in the dark tools, have you saying you mistaken me? You better move or I mark it, my weapon is my tongue, your existence to target, revealing all lies and deceit on the market. Genocide, carry around in pockets, I knock it down, bulldozer. David to Goliath, it's an exposure. Some big cats ruling and it's getting closer to your downfall. Round up all your soldiers.
Little homie, I was seeking a fortune, tired of misfortune. I just wanted a portion, everything that I never had, though I needed my portion. Blowing like porcelain, haters fabulous porcelain. Getting broke, tired of being broke. How we acquire hope is a DJ skill as a dope, just to keep us afloat. Mind as deep as the boat, brain is a lethal weapon. We want it to below. When I speak, I provoke. Walk in the room with my aura feeling like heavy smoke. Feel like when the levee broke under my Louis fitted the semi-poke. Cause dirty cops will kill your boy, yeah, the joke. The cost of living, higher profits in private prison. These little girls are selling bodies just to pay tuition. These little niggas selling niggas just for bail condition. It's like the slavery never ended, where's the intermission? I wanna free the world, but I'm one man. A couple ones like me and me one plan. I wanna free the world, but I'm one man. A couple ones like me and one plan.
Islam. That was a good warm-up. That was a good warm-up. We're here once again, sons of Allah.
Peace. Fact.
It feels like it's been a while.
Yeah.
It feels like it's been a while, but you already know work. Honors to all the Moors worldwide. Honors to all the Moors in the chat. Honors to Noble Drew Ali, especially.
Yes.
For all the work that he put in, and happy Equinox to all. It's about springing forward right now, so
yeah,
let's get it.
Facts, bro. Yeah. Major facts. Peace to everyone. Peace to everybody. Again, man, honest to you, honest to Canaanland Moors and the platform, bro. before we get into it, we hollered briefly, and I just want to say it publicly too, man. Thank you for all the work you put in the platform you provide and whatnot, because all your sessions are good. But I really do appreciate the session you had with Nature and Taj. Though it wasn't live streamed on YouTube, I still appreciate it because yo, man, that's the vibe. I remember what everything they was talking about. You know what I mean? So and Moors, man, that information is still needed. You know what I mean? It's always great to hear from Brother Nature L Bay, Taj in the zone with him at that time, and you know those things are just, man, I can't even put a word to it, but I remember. You know what I mean? And I'm thankful that even to this day, it's still people around from that era. You already know what it is. So again, give much thanks and honors to you for all the sessions you have, but I especially appreciate that one more. Keep doing what you do. You know what I mean? And I know that it'll reach where it needs to go. So yeah, more peace.
And it is reaching where it's supposed to go, because where we were for that was 4 hours out from where we're at.
Really? Okay. Right.
Yeah. You know, the word's been spreading for a while.
Right.
The Moors near those territories. You know, they're still here.
Indeed. Shout out to them.
Knowing the truth, you know what I mean? And doing their best to uplift our people, you know, and every jurisdiction, that's what it is. There's certain Moors who are gonna stand up for this out here. You know what I mean? We wouldn't be where we're at if it wasn't for Moors who wanted to know that they're Moors and felt it in their spirit.
Right, though.
It's not just, you know, some situation because I'm a Moor.
Right.
It's something that's party, you know. So and going back again, those Moors, those are the ones who brought us up. So, you know, why should only, you know, Hidden Colors get 50 million views?
Yeah.
You know.
And you know what's crazy? I was thinking about it. This been on my mind, and I don't know if anyone's ever said it like this, but I was thinking about it because we are a nation. We have a nationality, right? And it's like, okay, we are in fact Moors. You know, the word American applies. The word Moabite, Phoenician, Hamatite, right? But for specific purposes, in these days and times, we are known as Moors, being Moors. And I was thinking about it, bro. Like, there's some Moors who act like, you know, nobody's a Moor but them. And if you're not in this organization, you're a renegade Moor or whatever the case may be. But when I look at that, because you know, some people think, oh, it's your nationality is based off of what so-called colonial country you're in. So they would say things like, you know, Canada is not America because they don't know geography. And I thought about it, and it's like people in that mind state, right? They could say that they're Moors. This is no slight because I am a Moor, you know, but I understand that there's been other propaganda, like through the social media and everything else, and you know, it's intentional. And I'm like, these so-called Moors who go with the propaganda, to me, like they're really not. They're not being Moorish Americans. They are under color of law, but kind of like intentionally. And I know this is not a real nationality, and I mean it when I say it. They're not really being Moorish Americans. They're being United States Negroes, bro. Some people are really in that state of mind of being a United States Negro. And no, it's not a real nationality, but that is a mindset, is what I'm saying. So shout out to all of you who do recognize your nationality as being, you know, something that isn't given to you by a colonial operations. Whether they're operating or not, you still have a nationality. And so when I hear stuff like that, like, oh, well, Moors is only within the 50 states and all of this here, it's like, yo, they really don't know. Like the colonized the colonizer agenda really got them. You know what I mean? Like mentally, they don't understand nationality. And I'm sure there's components that we all could highlight and illuminate these attributes of nationality, but just that concept of, oh, those Moors are from the islands, so they're not Moors, they're not FBA, they're not whatever. You know what I mean? Like some of this stuff, they're making these rules up because nationality, bloodline supersedes all those borders and boundaries. You see? So I don't know more. I think some people are mentally going to be United States Negroes or just Negroes. And again, we know it's not a nationality, but by their own admission and profession of how they think, especially, and they could say, black, but we know Negro and black is the same thing. Pardon me, more. I ain't mean to go left, but I thought about it. So again, shout out to all of you who proclaim your nationality. Facts.
Yeah, because that's right and exact though. And I keep going to the example of all the different nations in our people's face who are somehow, some way getting all the benefits, but our people can't get any. And
right.
And this is happening. This has been happening. This has been going on. That our people specifically are in the same jurisdictions as these other individuals, corporate jurisdiction, whatever. And these people from somewhere else, a foreigner is able to be here under the guise of allegiance with the colonizer and then get all the benefits. And they're blatantly going with making sure the indigenous people aren't accounted for or heard or talked about. So at some point, it's going to have to come to the people, that the people start realizing that this is BS, just like everywhere else that you can see, that when the people get fed up, they take the people out of government who are violating them. But again, you can't be citizens of corpses. So going to them is useless. The UN just had their declaration of African slave, whatever, and U.S. Canada, all of them said nope, we're not recognizing any of that. So they could keep the colonization going on. And then if that's the United Nations, then shouldn't they be able to just pull these people up on crimes for not even signing on to the thing? Like, how are they not signing on to end slavery? And then the people that they're supposed to sign on to aren't going after them when they have the power that they could go after them. You don't think somebody's playing you? You don't realize yet that even the nations that are supposed to be de jure and all that stuff, even all of them selling out to the colonizer.
Facts.
Even they're selling out to the colonizer. So our people need to have a nation immediately. And the problem with them is that they keep looking at Moors as some type of religion or some type of everything except a nation. And have every reason why they're not going to look at Moors as a nation, but they're going to look at LGBT whoever as a nation.
Right, though. So let me ask you this, bro, because this is something else I was thinking about. And I really, we in the session, bro. Because I was thinking about it last night. I really was. It was like, okay, so we know for a fact everybody's not going to unify based off of religion. It's just not going to happen because the nature of it is not the nature of it, but the fact that there's different religions is already divisive. So if someone is a Muslim and another person a Christian, right? There's already what people would think are uncommon grounds, but when you read the text, there's a lot uncommon. Let me just say that. But they're not going to unite as being all Christians or all Muslims because it's different. It's different, right? By name, in principle, in certain regards, right? So it's like, all right, but if we are wise or mature enough to understand that people may practice different religions, but those religions that they choose to practice do not determine their nationality, right? Like you could have a Chinese Buddhist, you could have a Chinese Muslim, right? You could have a European Muslim, you could have a European Christian, right? They have the same nationality. If that's respected, I think everything else could fall in line, right? Noble Drew Ali warned us about there will always be religious controversy because these people have what they think is the truth, but it's really just a reflection, So that's why he's talking. He wanted his people to know the truth and the divine truth, right? But I think that's the missing. Like, if we can't agree on, okay, somebody wants to be a Christian, somebody wants to be Muslim, somebody is Buddhist, right? That's going to exist. But no matter what their religious choice is, if nationality is understood, it shouldn't be a problem. Those shouldn't be things that make people fall out, right? Especially if you are of the same nationality. I was just thinking about it like that more. Do you think that's about accurate, or even when we try to unify under nationality, it's still going to be divisiveness? What's your thought?
Well, just like you said, everybody can practice whatever religion it is that they want, but what um what I don't realize for them is how they can't see the only time in history where there was all these religions able to practice at the same time was when the Moors were ruling.
Fact.
And you have 800 years of every religion being able to practice. Now there's a dominant religion. Don't get it messed up. There's a dominant religion from these people who had nations and kingdoms and empires and all that. So having the nation backing you, knowing that you have a nation, accepting and embracing that you have a nation, then you could start talking about religions and all that. You can't talk religions without having a nation
right
behind you.
Mm-hmm.
There's no ability to exercise that thing. Like whatever the activity is gonna be, if there's no nationality behind it. So the Asians started their league, right? Asians have their league. Now that's their league. They have a nationality to back it. Anybody could go there and play, try out like everybody else. Mm-hmm. But they have their own league based on their nation, right? The fake Jews, they have their own blood bank. They're pretending to be a nation, but they have their own blood bank, and all the other stuff that they have. Right. So it's not some far-fetched thing that Moors are talking about with like even with Noble Drew Ali, you tell your nationality and you tell your religion. How are you getting those confused? Mm-hmm. Like how are you putting them together? You can't do that. If the man said nationality is Moorish American, religion is Islamism, how does it cross in their mind that these two things are the same thing?
Mm-hmm.
That they would confuse what he's saying.
Right.
Because they hear Allah or Islam or Muslim or something, Muhammad, Quran, and they start running the other direction because they think this is something Islamic. How we're talking nationality. We're not talking our religion. It's a repetitive thing with Moors.
Mm-hmm.
That religion doesn't matter. You could be any religion. You want to be atheist? No problem. You're still a Moor.
Right. Yeah, like, you know what I mean?
You don't have to believe in Allah and all that stuff to be a Moor. You don't have to be Muslim. You could be a Buddhist Moor. What's wrong with that? You could be a New Age Moor.
Mm-hmm.
You could be a divine feminine worshiping Moor. You know, the religion, that's your personal.
Facts.
Has nothing to do with anybody else. That's your personal time with your whatever you think is your creator.
Indeed. Indeed.
Islam, or I yield.
Islam, nah, that's facts. Because it was something you had mentioned, made me think about that again. Like, yo, you was mentioning about the religions and how people take it like that. Yeah, as soon as they hear, you know, circle set. And listen, don't get me wrong. I encourage people to study all of religious texts, you know, and see what vibes with you, what you vibe with. But be in the know. Some people, you know, they're not interested. That's also their right. We're not saying somebody should or shouldn't.
Yeah.
We're just saying no matter what you do, your nationality is your nationality. You know what I mean? So again, like you said, don't get the two confused, but don't knock the other either. But like, know it's a difference, you know? So yeah, more, I don't know. I just wanted to start there, man. Like, that was interesting thoughts on that. Cause I really was thinking about it like, yo, cause as soon as somebody say I'm Muslim and the other say I'm Christian, it appears there's no commonality because they're two different things.
Yeah.
So that would be hard to get people to unite on that. But respect should be a thing no matter what religion somebody belongs to. So yeah, no doubt more. All right, so we got that out the way.
Yeah.
Yeah, you wanna you wanna add anything on, or you wanna get into some of the articles? Where we going?
Oh yeah, we can get to the articles.
Yeah.
Let's see what we have here.
Indeed. Absolutely. Yeah, more so. And then there's the other part too, like, you know, Moors, they act like we're foreign here, and there's a difference between the MOOR and the MUUR, and it's, you know, they're creating those divisive waves. So that's the other reason I was asking, like, what you know what I mean? It's like, if we can't unite around religion, okay, we could go with provable facts about who Moors are. Anybody saying they don't know what that's about is definitely tweaking, because there's so much evidence out there. There's so much information that Moors were already here, you know? So yeah, for sure, bro. Okay, I see where you at. All right. Smooth. So yeah, this is I forgot the date on this one. You there, Moore?
Yeah, 1949.
Okay. All right.
1949.
No doubt. So all right, let's go. We're going with that one. Let me pull this up too, just so I'm following along freely. Let's see. Oh, hold up. Okay. All right, bet I'm with you. All right, I'll read this one. Economic Council. UN group backs Aborigine study, right? Economic Council is directed to investigate life of so-called Indians in South and Central America. And I just want to say before we get into the article, we have some information to share tonight too, as well, to clarify how we're not Indians is a documented fact, multiple references, but this is just in this historical record. So let's examine this one, right? So it says Lake Success, May 10th. The Special Political Committee of the United Nations General Assembly approved late tonight a Bolivian resolution directing the Economic and Social Council and the Secretary General to investigate conditions of life and work among millions of Aboriginal inhabitants of Central and South America. It says the final vote, which came shortly before midnight, was 28 in favor and none against, with 9 nations abstaining. Debate proceeding, excuse me, debate preceding final action on the Bolivian proposal was long and accurate. Soviet bloc spokesmen used the subject as a springboard for scathing denunciations of intolerable race discrimination allegedly practiced in the United States and other countries of the Western Hemisphere. The Soviet group voted in favor of the Bolivian resolution after the Bolivian delegate. So the Soviet group, this is Russia, right? they voted they voted in favor of the Bolivian resolution after the Bolivian delegate. Eduardo Ans Matinzo had commended the Russian tactics in a sharply worded speech. Peace, more. My fault. Was you saying something?
No, I wasn't saying anything.
Okay. It says a proposed amendment by Denmark, leaving out reference to the Secretary General and generally giving the Economic and Social Council more latitude in considering the matter, was rejected by a vote of 15 to 12, with 6 abstentions. The Danish proposal was supported by Miss Franklin D. Roosevelt, United States delegate. Yo, and I just wanted to say this here too. You know, she was putting in a lot of work at the United Nations, and like she left the Daughters of American Revolution over them discriminating on a sister that was supposed to be performing at a hall. It was either the Constitution Hall or Carnegie Hall or something like that. You familiar with that?
No, not even.
Word, yeah. Like she left the Daughters of American Revolution behind that, how they was treating the sister. That's what was said. You know what I mean? And she was instrumental on the Universal Declaration of Human Rights.
Yeah, I know that part. With that,
okay, yeah.
That part. I didn't know about the sister.
Yeah. That's why she left the Daughters of American Revolution or resigned from it, because I think if you look at it, it was kind of conflicting with her work. If she's doing humanitarian work, and you know what I mean, what's more humanitarian than the United Nations Declaration of Human Rights, right? Like, not that it's not more humanitarian stuff, but that sets the standard for human rights all across the world. So, you know, that was acknowledged. And it's funny because I'm not telling anybody what to do, how to live, but people asked about like traveling a certain way without certain documentation. And what I do know is the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, I believe it's number 13, speaks about everybody has the right to leave his country and the right to return. I'll say look that up for yourselves, if you will, but it's a very interesting fact from there. So, but yeah, it says, yeah, bro. But that's definitely wild. She left the Daughters of American Revolution behind that, and that does say a lot. But I'm gonna continue reading this. It says a proposed amendment by Denmark, leaving out reference to the Secretary General and generally giving the Economic and Social Council more latitude in considering the matter, was rejected by a vote of 15 to 12, with 6 abstentions. Okay, pardon me, I did read this part. Yeah, so the Danish proposal was supported by Miss Franklin D. Roosevelt, United States delegate. Earlier, Miss Roosevelt had bluntly asked a Russian delegate in the United Nations whether any Russian citizen had ever voiced open criticism of conditions in the Soviet Union and were still able to do so. Ms. Roosevelt's sharp exchange with Soviet delegate Alexander A. I'm about to botch this name. This is a Russian name, no disrespect, but I'm about to botch it. Soldatov. So let's just say right? In the in the ad hoc political committee of the General Assembly came after the Russian had cited the works of several United States authors as proof that nothing has changed in the last 25 years to better the condition of the quote Negroes and Indians in the United States. And I just gotta say this, bro. Like when he cited the works of authors of several quote unquote United States authors. It reminded me of J. Rogers' work because he mentioned the Negroes and the Indians, and it was something in there where he was talking about J. Rogers. That is, he was talking about a so-called Indian is only an Indian on a reservation. If he was to go out in the world, they would assume that he was a so-called Negro at that time. He said, so, he was basically saying the same thing. Yo, we Aboriginal indigenous here, right? And so, but yeah, that's what he was saying. He would only be considered that on the reservation, whereas everybody else would see him this way, which says a lot, based off of what that phenotype is. But I'm going to continue on. He says, Miss Roosevelt denied the Soviet charge, adding, I asked my Soviet colleague how many Russian citizens have criticized conditions in the Soviet Union. Question, how many have done it freely and are still able to do so? Question. The incident arose during committee debate on the Bolivian draft resolution calling on the United Nations Economic and Social Council and the Secretary General to study methods of raising the living standards of the Aboriginal population of Central and South America. To this proposal, Haiti moved an amendment extending the field of inquiry to other underdeveloped social groups of the Western Hemisphere. And again, I just want to emphasize here, all the Caribbean islands, all the islands, Atlantis Islands, they still are American islands. And they knew this. Like Haiti was involved, right? And, they're part of the Western Hemisphere. They're not foreign. They just, from the islands off the coast of this mainland, right? So it's like, why would we, separate from our brothers and sisters or cousins, whatnot? Like we really all from this land. It's just different parts,
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's the same people.
Yeah, and that whole thing with Canada and US always getting involved in things is what Hugo Chavez and Castro and all them were against, with them being involved in the affairs of the American islands and countries. They have their own jurisdiction. Why are they always in everybody's stuff? And then when they deal with the so-called Negroes and Indians, they're not dealing with them with that fiduciary duty that they have. They're always dealing with the indigenous people like a colonizer. So at some point, the indigenous people have to realize this and change their position, or the crap continues constantly.
Mm-hmm.
Are you more?
Yeah, no, it's all is well. Yeah, for sure, bro. You gotta really look at that Western Hemisphere for sure. So It says strong support for the Bolivian proposal was expressed by delegates of Mexico and Uruguay who depicted the plight of Indian inhabitants of the South American continent, especially those living in the Andes, as so critical as to be of international concern. But again, in a few, we'll show something else to correlate how Indian is definitely the brand name. And, we most Moors know this already, but just for the record, because people still doubt it, they say Moors is foreign and whatnot. But it says the Polish delegates, Jan Dorjowski, told the 58-member body that Navajo Indians in this country were starving to death on their reservation. They can't eat reports to Congress or nice articles in the New York Times, he said. Mr. Drakowski supported the Bolivian and Haitian moves, but criticized both as too academic to have practical effect. And yeah, so there's a polarity there too. More like it's a lot. It's a lot there.
There's a lot who are wanting to assist. There's a lot who see it and they're calling out. They're calling out their boy for the crap that they're doing to the quote unquote Indians. Who we know are the Moors. That's why in all the logs they're talking about they saw mestizas, or whatever they called it. Mestizas.
Right.
There were Mas here. So they knew who they were dealing with from the jump. They knew who they were dealing with. And that's crazy. That it was Polish, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
So this Polish knows, and he's telling them to their face. They can't eat reports to Congress.
Or nice articles from the New York Times. Facts.
Right? Calling them out to their face. And there's gonna be those ones.
Yeah.
The abolitionists. There's gonna be them.
Smooth. Yeah. It always has.
So much. You could only say so much though. Sometimes you gotta do sometimes too.
Right. That's the balance to it, is what I'm seeing in that too. You know what I mean? Like he said, they're too academic. It's like, yeah, we gotta study first, but then once you study, you gotta get active. So it goes back to the degree. When you study well as what to study next, the answer would be to study yourselves, right? Like that's in the Circle 7. And I think that's along the lines of those degrees there. No doubt about it. To me, that's how it come off, Like, it's not, I mean, it is about learning. You have to study, but when you have studied well, you got to get active, right? And then therein still learn through experiences a whole nother type of way, right? Like, so yeah, that's a pretty dope one, Moore. That was a good one. Yeah. And I wanted to say this because it mentioned the Polish guy. And if you know, like there is a cathedral, which we know historically those were old mosques. But anyway, there's one in New York City, and they have like it's called St. Patrick's Cathedral, and they got an area in there with the old image of what they call the so-called Black Madonna, right? Like I forgot the exact name of it, but I do have some pictures of it, and I'm thinking about it now that they was worshiping that or dealing with that like centuries ago. They were one of those nations who recognized the Mother Mary and Christ as, we know that comes from Isis, Horus, etc. But they still had that imagery of that melanated, what people would call Madonna, right? And so, you can see there it's probably in the in the respect of whatever his background is. I'm not saying all of them acknowledge that, but most of them do, you know?
Mhm.
Yeah, some of them do. So yeah, they're no stranger to Moors in that regard. Like how some people in the Western Hemisphere came up with a European so-called Jesus on the wall, like they came up with, you know, a melanated Moorish woman on the wall. You know,
Yeah.
that's a fact. That is a fact. And still to this day have, you know, areas where they honor it right here in North America. That's a fact. Yup.
Well, there was one more paragraph on there.
Oh, where did I miss that? My fault. Let me get that. Well, yeah, you're right. Mr. Soldative berated Latin American delegations for having urged United Nations investigations of religious trials in Eastern European countries when intolerable discrimination was practiced. He said in all countries of the Western Hemisphere against Negroes, Indians, and other minority groups. So he's calling out the intolerable discrimination that was practiced among the Western Hemisphere against so-called Negroes, Indians, and other minority groups. So they say. Right. So yeah, more it was going on. This was 1949, so it was a thing. They was getting active around this time too with the United Nations work on many levels.
Yeah.
You know, and again, it would be remiss to have a session of and be speaking about the United Nations and not mention that they literally took the model of the Iroquois to form the United Nations. Like it's a league, you know what I mean? It was like formed like a league, you know, just like the so-called Iroquois, you know, who when you look at them and in their indigenous culture, they say they came from the people of the Eastern Hemisphere, which is very interesting. Very interesting because it correlates with, you know, the philosophy that we were all over the planet, not just here. Whereas today you see people say, well, we from here and we're not Africans and, you know, we didn't come from Africa. We was always here. And it's true, you know. However, like it was a time when the land was connected and we was everywhere and it was the same land. Florida is a part of Northwest Africa. That's a fact. That's a fact. Like it was connected. And that's not mythology. That's actual geological mainstream fact. Africa was attached to Florida, as you know today. So this is, in fact, a part of what we call Northwest Africa in that regard, natural history. You know,
Mhm.
yeah.
Well, that's
Yeah.
a good segue to the next one.
Okay, where we at?
That's a good segue to the next one.
Oh, smooth.
1951, September 9th,
Mm-hmm.
1951. Ancient potteries link America and Asia.
Fact.
Capitol exhibit hints treks here and to Japan from Siberia 5,000 years ago. Washington, September 8th. Archaeologists of the Smithsonian Institute have concluded that in northeastern America and Japan 5,000 years ago were people having a common origin in Central Asia. The scientists used a ceramic approach in reaching their conclusion, this approach being comparative pottery relics. The relics will go on exhibit tomorrow in the National History Building of the United States National Museum. These relics, the archaeologists declare, show amazing similarities between the designs and shapes of pottery of the New Stone Age Aborigines of Japan and pottery of the pre-Columbian Indians of eastern United States and eastern Canada. And this is 1951. They're making these links. Excavations in Japan, aiding in their conclusion of parallel but widely dispersed cultures deriving from migrations from Central Asia, was a gift to the museum by Major Howard McCord of the United States Army of a collection of primitive works from Japan. Major McCord began excavations in Honshu, the largest of the Japanese islands, in 1947, when he made the gift of 1949 institution scientists who already had the American works began a comparative study. They found that fragments of the fabric impressed pottery from Japan and America were indistinguishable. Both cultures impressed cords on the soft clay for decorative designs, made deep groves with sharp instruments, carved castle-like bumps on the rims, and set bits of cloth into the outside soft clay to create symmetrical designs. The pottery of both areas had pointed bases, manifestly on the theory that water boiled faster in a pot of this design. Interrelationship traced. Will you have any interjections more before we go on?
Pardon me, can you hear me?
Yeah, you're good.
Yeah, no, just interested in that connection with Japan, and
Yeah.
I see somebody put it in the chat. But for sure, like, it is what it is. And it just makes a lot of sense. I know there's a lot more information. We'll swing back to that concept, but that connection is crazy, and again, it makes sense. Asiatics, whatnot. But yeah, that's crazy. But it is what it is. I'm not going to interrupt more. You could continue. All right.
Interrelationship traced. It is not likely the scientists hold that so many different features could have been deployed independently. The interrelationship they trace on the view that from what is Siberia, there were waves of migration into Japan and also into Alaska by way of a land bridge across what is now Bering Strait, with this migration continuing eastward to North America's forested areas in quest of surroundings like those left in Siberia. The migrants found in Eastern America and in Japan inhabitants who were presumably descendants from nomadic hunters who had left Asia before the development of pottery making. The new migrants continued their old ways of life and developed new cultural techniques sharply at variance with those of the areas from which they derived. This provides evidence, according to the scientists, that there was no direct contact or diffusion of ideas from Japan to North America. The pottery techniques of the primitives of southwestern United States, Mexico, or South America, the scientists note, had no resemblances to those, for example, of the early Iroquois of New York State or the prehistoric Hopewell mound builders of Ohio, Indiana, and Illinois. $5,000 ago.
Yeah, that's crazy, bro. They saying there was no connection.
And to be the story gets told by the victors.
Right.
Because I can't remember the name of the book, but I think it's over there. About the Chinese American connection.
Mm-hmm.
How the connection is so obvious.
Right.
The connection is so obvious. No wonder some of these indigenous people look Asian.
Right.
Like, why would they look Asian if they're from over here with all this stuff over here?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the chinky eyes, all of that is Moorish phenotypes.
Yeah,
it definitely is. Absolutely.
Definitely Asiatic.
Absolutely. No doubt about it, yo. And
Orientals.
exactly. Right. From the Orient, Easterly. But it makes so much sense though, you know? But one thing I don't know, when they say it didn't resemble the Iroquois, um, I don't know, because we read an article before about the fact that they were at least we know they had contact in some way, because they were found with seashells that came from the east in the Midwest though. So who would have bought that from the east? Like, because there's certain shells that only you're gonna see wash up on the beach, right?
Yeah.
Like certain things that are in the ocean. Like, I mean, waterways are connected, but it's certain waters where it's just gonna be certain things.
Yeah.
It's like, how would they get all the way inland? You know, even if you live on the coast, after a certain, like, you go a couple miles inland, you're not going to find seashells. They're like, you literally got to go to the beach to see them. So where would they get those from? All the way in the Midwest, excuse me. Things like that just make me think about, I don't know, man, maybe it was a deeper connection. You know, now I know Mexico is by the ocean as well, not too far, by the Gulf, and then you got the Pacific, on the left. But I don't know. Yeah, more, but that's dope. Just to know that there was a connection. You want to get into that short piece about the so-called the dispelling or the so-called red man American Indian myth? You know, just to put this in perspective, right? Because I think it's imperative, for the record, because there's a lot of confusion about who's who. We know what's up, but
Which one are you saying?
it was dispelling the popular Indian myth.
Oh,
It was I sent that to you earlier. Yeah. Um it's short. It's not even long at all. If I could pull it up, I'll just read it type.
Oh yeah, no, I got it right here.
Yeah. Yeah. Let's see.
Yeah, you can start reading it. Let me try to pull it up.
All right, bet. I'm gonna pull it up myself because I know I had it. I sent it to you earlier. But yeah, I just find it interesting looking at these records, and then like how many of these actually are consistent with what we actually know, and are clearing up a lot of the myths as well. So let me pull this real quick and let's get to it. Okay, I'll just read it. This is from the New York Times, Sunday, January 21st, 1912. The one I was looking for more, it was called Dispel Popular Idea of American Indian. It was in the last one I sent you if you want to put on the screen, but I'll read it. It says archaeological. Oh, you got it. All right. Yeah, so people can see just a quick reference point. You know what I mean? So it says archaeological research long ago dispelled the once popular idea that the North American Indian was the true aborigine of the Americas, right? So archaeology is proving that this is not true, right? That these were not the true aborigines of America, the American Indian. For all those who are saying that Moors are not aboriginal here, right? And that it's the American Indian. It's been proven that they're not. There's been older civilizations found. This is from an archaeologist at that. So it says systematic work and accidental discovery in the last century have resulted in a basic knowledge that there was a strange people here countless ages ago who were far more civilized than the quote red man. Right now, I want you to really think about that. When it says that there was a civilization here countless ages ago who were far more advanced than the red man or the so-called American Indian, right? You got to think about that. Countless ages ago, like, so we could count how long Moors was ruling in Spain in that era, right? We could say, yeah, for 700 years, which is a long time, really, in certain regards. Moors ruled in Spain. They're saying that it was countless. They can't even count how long ago these people were here that was more civilized than the so-called red man or American Indian. So let that sink in, and then think about it. What was it? The question, how old is the Moorish flag? 10,000 years old. So we know that's way before 1957 with the kingdom, right? I'm just saying, we didn't make this up. It was a known fact back then. It says it having been established that there really was such a people. The next great question as to what they were like, what they did, what they thought, and the intimate history of their lives now absorbs the attention of investigators, science works working backwards to the origin of the race by archaeological discoveries. So yeah, I just wanted to share that more because, like, yo, it's been documented. I don't when people are saying today that it's the American Indian who is Aboriginal indigenous here, it's like, yo, who taught you that? You didn't look into that? Like, you think so? American Indian, right? This is what the people who are being divisive out there, right? And they're saying that we're MUR, not MOORs, and also simultaneously saying they're American Indians, though. Like, that's what they're saying. American Indians. That's what they say they are. Like, yo, you gotta understand, as we just had on the screen, bro. Like, it's a proven fact that we was always here. We was it was a civilization before the so-called American Indian. As it said in the piece, it has been proven that they're not the Aborigines of America. So that was another brand, Moor, and was
that includes Inca and Aztec and all those people too. Before them too.
Right.
We were here. They like to go back to them and stop there too. As if they're the original people here.
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, that was a short one, but
yeah,
it was a good slap.
Right. That was all we needed from that. It was a lot more in there, but I mean, we ain't gotta beat y'all head in with this all night. Like, this is just straight to the point, fat excerpt from it. You know what I mean? Because that's real, That is what it is. Like, there's been civilizations, they couldn't even count how long it was here, And so, yeah, more like, I just think that, and before these is archaeologists. Y'all could disagree, whatever. I'm just saying, anthropology, archaeology, they do go hand in hand in certain regards when they're digging up these remains and things like that. So, I mean, yeah, more. I just know that we should not be tricked about this. I feel bad for the people who are. They don't know. They severely don't know, and they think that them embracing the acceptable term or what's been commonly thrown around is okay, when really they're playing you with that. And they say, oh yeah, it was the American Indians here, and this is Indian land, and the red man this, and the black man that, and the white man this, all those color games. It's a fact that it's really a myth. It's not nothing that tying back to colors really is not nothing ancient, really.
Yeah.
And neither is the American Indian. That was made up with Columbus and them. That's really not that old either. Well, in the grand scheme of things, we could at least say, well, Columbus and them came 1492 or whatnot. They're talking about, they can't even count up how long ago.
How long, yeah.
You know what I mean? Think about that. Really think about that. for that long. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Yeah, yeah.
I have the Asiatics up right now.
Oh, word, indeed, indeed. So let's talk about it. All right. So the Asiatics, this is
Asiatics, not Europeans.
right. Now this is from the 1930s, 40s.
1933.
Okay, 1933. Right. So to put this in the time space, right? Like in the timeline, these are Asiatics by Yusoki Matsuka, Japanese delegate to the League of Nations, though. You know, in a statement given out in New York. So this is from a Japanese himself, right? Or in this case, maybe a her. I don't know. This human being at that time is on it like this. It says, "We had long."
Pardon the interjection, more. And for the ones who don't know, the League of Nations was just before the UN. The League of Nations was the UN before the UN.
Right. Facts. And they got that directly from the Iroquois.
The Iroquois League. Yeah.
Yeah, Moors of the Northern Hemisphere, who, you know, people were the first light, as we're known, you know. So it says, we had long and earnestly supported the high and noble purposes of the League. There was no difference on this policy between ourselves and the League, even when we left. There is now no difference. We are still ardent advocates and workers in the cause of peace, right? And which is one of the 5 principles for Moorish Americans, right? It says, we believe that any other nation, even France, England, or the United States, placed in Japan's trying and difficult geographical, political, and economic position would not have been as patient, tolerant, and long-suffering as, pardon me, I can't see what the rest of that say more. I'm reading off the screen. Okay, all right. Yeah, so would not have been as patient, tolerant, and long-suffering as we were with regard to Manchuria, although a Western power might have followed in detail a different course from ours. They say, we are Asiatics and you can't make us European. Damn. Like that's really standing on, that's proclaiming for sure. First off, that is definitely a proclamation and a denunciation. Like they're saying, we are Asiatics and you can't make us European, right? But also there was a piece before that, but it said, pardon me, can you scroll back down more? My fault. All right, I'll pull it up on mine and let's see. Before it was a specific clip. All right. Well, anyway, you know, it is interesting. Yeah. Okay. Oh, that's what it was. Excuse me, pardon me. Did you peep how they mentioned Manchuria instead of China? You know? That's what I wanted to say. Highlight too is that they referred to them right there as Manchuria instead of China.
China.
Yeah. Yeah. So they is calling everybody by their proper appellation on this one, right? Like Manchuria, Asiatic, and you can't make us European.
European.
Right. You know, and exactly. And at that time, you're talking 1933. I'm not trying to, you know, but if you look at the timeline in the article you read like 2 ago about the potteries and the Japanese.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Being correlative to the Eastern indigenous people of America, like in the Eastern section.
Yeah.
Yeah, that says a lot. It really say a lot. Like, how would this correlate all at the same time? You had the height of Moors declaring and proclaiming the nationality and, you know, or around that era of time. Noble Drew Ali is only a few years removed from the scene at that point, 1933. Right? Like, so this was still a thing though, you know, and still is a thing. But for them to be on it like that, you know, and then there was questions about, well, how are the Moors connected with Japan, the Japanese? Remember, they was pressing brothers and sisters about this. right? When you read those, alphabet files, there was
Yeah.
a concern, like, why is it the Moors in Japanese? Was it the Moorish Science Temple of America? Remember that?
And even with El Rockins too.
Mm-hmm. They was trying to, make a connection, but it's
or they were trying to make a disconnection.
a disconnection, right?
A connection.
Yeah, yeah.
And they didn't want that.
Right.
Even with Muhammad Ali.
Fact.
Not wanting to go to war against his brothers and the brown man were brown.
Facts.
Asiatics.
Mm-hmm.
And knowing that even France, England, or the United States placed in Japan. There was another part too. We had long and earnestly supported the high and noble purposes of the League. Going back to that thing of the nations will be recognized based on the relationship they've had with other nations in the past. And they're letting them know that we've been in support of what is going on. This unifying of the world in order to stop the madness that's going on. And they wouldn't dare call them out their name and call them China or something like that.
Mm-hmm. And more. Pete too. They was doing all that in the cause of peace, which is one of the 5 principles. More, peace. Yeah. Before I want to cut your wisdom, but I just want to highlight that too.
No, it's real. Yeah. No, I just thought that was a good gesture. Like, show them, let them know, hey, we've been supporting you. You're not gonna turn around and call us Europeans.
Right. And
we have right to nationality and all that.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Mm-hmm. But even to have to go to the level to addressing it, like, why would they be considering them Europeans unless it's trying to denationalize them? And they're not going for that. They're going to stand on their nation before anything else.
Right.
Which is where our people aren't. Why we keep seeing our people get their ass kicked and all that.
Facts.
They're still missing it. Like, look how easy it is for them to say that they're Asiatics even.
Exactly.
Like, that's easy for them to say that they're Asiatics. Easy.
Super easy. Yeah. And so, yeah, that's interesting. More. There was a lot of stuff going on back then. I found something else too. It was like a lot of ships. Japan, I believe this was like in the 40s. They did a lot of name changes to the ships that they had, to their vessels. I don't know if this was before or after the World War situation, but they did a lot of name changes to their ships, and I think it was something to do with that aspect,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It was like, damn, they changed a lot of names, and I don't know what those names mean or those appellations mean. I just know it meant something for them to be like, we changing all the names of these ships. Like that said a lot. So yeah, it's something to be studied there for sure. It's just a lot just connecting. And again, when he said we're Asiatics and you can't make us Europeans, he might have meant that, or she might have meant that in a lot of ways. Like you can't denationalize us, and you can't make us like you. right? Because they're saying we believe that if y'all was placed in these positions, you might have handled it another way, but we're not like you, so you can't make us like you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, yeah. So, right. So this is how we're doing it. They declared and proclaimed their nationality straight out. They said we're Japanese. Well, any other nation would be this, that, and the third, and they made it clear. And then, encompassed it all when they said we're Asiatics. And then you think about this too. Still, if you really look at it today, Europe is really West Asia. Europe is really not big enough to be a continent. That's West Asia. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it is. It is. So those are Western Asiatics, if you will. You know.
Keep going and if we keep going, so-called Africa is South Asia.
Right, though. Right.
And it's really the Americas and Asia.
Right.
And both of them have North and a South continents.
Mm-hmm.
And then the continents divided into nations.
Right.
Whether it's Berlin Conference nations or it's divided into something, they're not playing some color game, even though it's color.
Facts.
Yeah. Oh, I was gonna get that Lincoln one up.
Oh yeah, no doubt. This is important too, for sure. Shout out to everybody in the chat, everybody in attendance. I see someone puts in the chat, changing the name of a ship is major. I remember Garvey had difficulty changing the name of the ships he had. Yeah, that is because you maritime is no law of the land. It's international law of maritime. That's it. You know what I mean? So that is definitely something to really look at. Man, now this is crazy, bro.
Yeah, it's crazy. So what? This is New York Times, Sunday, October 21st, 1934. The Declaration of Independence and the Constitution of the United States, generally regarded as the two most important documents in the nation's history, are no longer in the vaults of the State Department, but in the Library of Congress, whither they were transferred in 1903. Congress at that time especially directed the transfer. In 1922, appropriated the sum of $12,000 for a safe, permanent repository for them. Both original documents are now on exhibition there, in the shrine provided for them, and according to officials of the library, these two most precious items in our archives will remain where they are unless Congress changes its mind and enacts another law again transferring them, for neither document is mentioned in the act provided for the archives building. In the minds of many people, the Emancipation Proclamation, carefully preserved in the State Department, comes next in importance to these two. The proclamation is a simple paper, 5 pages long, written by hand, bearing little evidence of its startling value, except that it is signed with Abraham Lincoln's full name instead of his more customary. It is bound to a red Morocco book along with other presidential proclamations, and it carries its marks of endless interest thumbs.
Peace, Moor. Thank you for that, because that was crazy. I'm like, wow, the all documents, right? You're talking about now. I know it's very, this is always going to be a topic of conversation. The Emancipation Proclamation didn't really free us. It was manumission, etc. However, like, it's an important document from a historical perspective still, I would say, right? Like it's some historical significance there. And for it to be something with Abraham Lincoln preserved by law, though, in the red Morocco book, Moors, that says something. Like, to me, it just spoke like, hold up. Abraham by law, this is in the Red Morocco book being bound and preserved. Like, is that not saying something? It says something to me, like
it has to.
It, you know what I mean? By law, though, like, this is not just, oh, we like this, like, you know, why a Red Morocco book? Like, we know that Abraham Lincoln defended the Moor in court, right? Moor, not Moore, right? That was the conversation in the thing, right? Like, he did that. There's rumors of him having Moorish ancestry. Like, they taunted him for that back then, right? Like, they taunted him with the pantaloons and all of this here, right? Like, it was always a thing of Abraham Lincoln being a Moor. Like, it was always a thing. The way they present him, that's another thing, right? But why out of everything that could be preserved in a Red Morocco book, I really just think that says something, man. What y'all like? I don't know.
And it tells too that whole freedom, the freedom of the people through that Emancipation Proclamation, that's where the freedom really is. Knowing about Morocco, knowing about the freedom that you have once you are connected, right? Because it's bound, right? It's bound. The proclamation is bound in the Moroccan book.
Fact.
So there's no it was Lincoln anymore, because they could have put that anywhere,
right?
That could have went anywhere, but it had to be in the hands. It had to be in the it had to be in the constitutional fold of the Moors.
Yeah.
In order for those emancipated to actually be free. Because if emancipates transfer and they're transferring it to the Moors, they're transferring the property to the Moors for the Moors to do what? Enslave them again?
Right.
No. To free them now. Because the Emancipation Proclamation is supposed to be the thing that frees them. And then, like you said, Lincoln defended the Moor. You still need to make up stuff.
Right.
And that's the whole thing that Bratton Bay and all of them are repping on.
Oh, right.
Lincoln and oaths of amnesty and all this.
Yeah. I don't agree with that process. You know, I don't hate on Moors, but I don't agree politically.
Yeah, naturalizing it.
Yeah.
That's not what Moors should be doing. Moors can't naturalize other Moors. That's not a possibility.
Right.
Only way they could do that is if we're talking about Emancipation Proclamation and the transfer is to a slave master.
Right.
To a slave master. And then that's an angle. That's a way that the sellout took what Noble Drawley brought and then went in that direction to cause the confusion. And then some went the religious direction. And then some went the packet selling direction. And some of them went create some other nation direction. And they scattered this thing, and this is why we are how we are, with these different 800 million schools of thought, and then everybody else, they just have their religion and that's it.
Right. Okay.
We have 500 gods. That's the creator of the universe, and everybody else is sufficient with their one.
Mm-hmm. Facts. Man.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah, but the naturalizing, because First off, you have to be a foreigner to be naturalized, you know, and we're not. So yeah, that it and it sound good because it sound natural, but it's really a process for foreigners, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, even with that being the case, I don't dismiss historical significance. But with Abraham Lincoln and the Red Morocco book, that's crazy.
Yeah.
But you know what I
We'll
mean?
take that. But all that other stuff,
Yeah,
that's what they're on, or they might not even be on that. They could, I mean, Lincoln might not even be on that. It could be just some stuff that they're trying to pull
right.
to keep Moors confused. Because Lincoln was naturalizing the Moor when he
and
was a Moor already.
Yeah,
But he didn't naturalize.
Indeed. I just wanted to say this more. Pardon me. I wasn't trying to cut you.
Go ahead, Moor.
But Noble Drew Ali explicitly warned against this, though. You know, when he says there is no need for the application of the 14th and 15th Amendment. Naturalization, that's 14th Amendment activities. Like, we didn't make it up. Like, this is Noble Drew Ali's standard, right? In the Divine Warning, if you look at it. Because the Constitution has never been changed. And since it's never been changed, there was never no need for the application of the 14th and 15th Amendment. But I know they say, well, it's something with the 13th Amendment. But if you're naturalizing, that's the 14th Amendment activity. Ain't nothing wrong with acknowledging the 13th Amendment for what it is, original with the 20 sections, knowing what they shortened it down to. But in the sense of then taking that and politically saying, yeah, I was born in America, but I'm an alien, so now let me naturalize for citizenship. You would have been better off just rocking with the 14th Amendment flat out. And like, if that's what you're doing, you know? So yeah, but shout out to all Moors. I'm just saying politically, I don't that the concept just doesn't work for me, you know.
Yeah, and it shouldn't.
Right. Yeah. You know?
Nothing's wrong with that.
No, yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. So yeah, more that was crazy though. So it's like, damn, that's one of those other things where you just realize what's really going on. And it's always something to do with Moors. Historically, all the significant things has something to do with Moors. Even when they was breaking away from Great Britain, declaring their independence because they were slaves. The English, the Irish, Germans, right? Like they were slaves. You know, they were enslaved, breaking away from the King of Great Britain. You know what I mean? Yeah. So, this is just interesting. And Moors was involved in that too. But that's just a fact. So yeah, more. And also, even speaking on that, it's like they take a lot of our natural holidays and celestial celebrations and then make them something significant for themselves, which it is what it is, you know, it is what it is. But yeah, even the 4th of July is really like a serious celebration, like a celestial with the dog star.
Yeah.
And in the dog days of summer and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So yeah, more. It all goes back to
a lot of it they take.
Yeah.
But you know that's what we were talking about that when we were at Ottawa, because that's where the Parliament is, but it's also an indigenous spot.
Of course.
This is how they're running. They're gonna go to your spot, put their stuff where, or take over your stuff that's already there, and use that energy for themselves.
Right, though. Right. Yeah.
You know, to the best of their ability, and their abilities are far-reaching. So they know exactly what they're doing, and they're waiting for the stars to align and all that before they go do anything.
Oh yeah. Well, yeah. And noticing that too, when you say they take stuff for themselves, and we were speaking about archaeology earlier. From what I've observed, from what archaeologists have been saying, it's like what they do when they want to cover up like an indigenous area, whether it be a burial ground, something that they want to hide. What they do is make malls and shopping plazas and pave over it, and that way, like, they seal off the digging, because a lot of archaeologists were warning, like in the early 1800s, they, or in the 1800s, like when they was really starting to find stuff, they would say, like, they would warn against macadamization, which basically means just putting asphalt over the streets in the paths, because this would inherently seal off access to certain sites. And so it was like, listen, in the next couple of decades, this is going to all be macadamized or sealed off, where we're not going to be able to get into certain places. So you got to look at that. Some of those places, especially malls and shopping centers, real talk, that if really do the knowledge on some of them, they usually something that was there indigenous, yo.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And even down to political buildings, like you said, where the Capitol is, they on the indigenous spots and all of this here.
Yeah.
That's how they do with their corporations, and then they seal stuff off. So, man, that's crazy, bro. But that's what they said from archaeologists, though. They were saying it,
I have the no black troops one.
Oh yeah. Let's get into that. Yeah, and then let's get into that one and see what's good. Please. Did you pull it up? Let's see. Hold up. Man, yo, I could have swore I pulled this one up and the other one up. I didn't pull it up on mine, though. I gotta I'll find it. Ain't no thing. But yeah, okay. So no black troops now in occupied zone. Galbraith cuts short bond matches protest. Paris, February 9th. The French black troops, the Senegalese, were withdrawn from the occupied area last June. There remain on the Rhine several regiments of Moroccans who are not black men but are Moors. Moor, what you got to say? Because I know that just off the jump, that's making a clear distinguishment. They're Moroccans, not black men, but are Moors.
So they have to, they must look like what people would say, that's a black man, in order to be able to say, no, we're not that. Going back again to when we were near Ottawa for last week, there was a Moor there, looked like a brother, and then he's Colombian or something. But he looks just like a brother that you'd see a brother walking around.
Mm-hmm.
And the lie that's told through the visual, that it's only pale ones that are Latin speaking,
right,
or light brown or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Islam.
Yeah, nah, facts, and it goes with it. From what I've seen and what I'm reading in history, it's like a Moor always going to let you know we are Moor, straight like that. Like, we, in all eras, Jim Crow, the Negro black colored, beginning of the era, middle of the era to present day, still letting people know we're not Negro black and colored, right? But it was that image in J.A. Rogers' book when the Moors was in the marching band, or the war band, excuse me, if you will, and they were marching, and it said on the thing, none of these are called Negroes. None of these are classed as Negroes. They're all called Moors, right? It's really it's really not a thing where we don't like our people. We just know for a fact that Negro, Black, and color are not real identities and legally won't be classed as that. We'll always push back on that, you know, and always have. So it's really nothing new. They already know what time it is when they come to Moors. Like letting them know we not Black. They know what time it is, you know. So I don't know. It just appears that don't get it twisted. They're not Black people. These are Moors. So anyway, but it says there are also on the Rhine 300 Madagascars used as officer servants. The French War Department states the withdrawal of the Moroccans is not under consideration, inasmuch as they are not Black troops. These men fought with the 1st and 2nd American divisions south of Soissons, and no complaint has ever been made by the Germans against their conduct on the Rhine. As a rule, they are very well behaved. I mean, I don't know how to take that more. Are they saying like these is passive people, or are these Moors who are like more so civilized, not being out of there?
Those aren't the Negroes.
Facts.
These are the Black guys. These are the Black guys. The Black guys, we can kind of, you know, work with them. The Negro's a beast of the field. You can't do nothing with the Negro but put them and go pick something.
Right.
But these other ones, we could bring them to use them as our troops or as our, you know, workers or something. They're a little bit more civilized then.
Right.
But they're still low. You know, don't think they, you know, because they get to lick the face that means they're family.
Right. Facts.
Mm.
Yeah. So
there's still that like they're separated. Like those are one thing, those are one, and then Moors are over here. And then things that Moors have are Moorish too.
Right.
So the Negro relationship and the Moor relationship is two different relationships with whatever it is. The Moors relationship with slavery is different than the Black guys and the Negroes relationship with slavery.
Fact.
So there's that separation.
Yeah.
You don't want to be on that side.
Word.
The black Negro side, that's not where it's at. You want to be doing everything from the Moorish side.
Mm-hmm.
The Negro would possibly become the beast of the field, but the Moor would have control of the beast of the field. Like the Moor would know how to deal with the beast of the field.
Right. Yeah. I think it's either one of the two things. These Moors were like overseeing, or they was just on a square, like from how it sound. You know, when they say as a rule, they usually be chilling or they behaved. I don't know what they mean by, but I see what you're saying though. Like it's like, yeah, yeah. I mean, if they saying they fought in wars and all of this here, that says a lot too.
Yeah, because I think these men fought. He's talking about the Black troops.
Okay.
The Black troops is the French War Department's talking about the Black troops that they did. You know, we know the Moroccans are because they have them named Moroccans.
Right.
They have a national name that they're calling them.
Yeah.
Moroccans, Moors. But the Black troops and Black men and all that has absolutely nothing to do with those Moors. These are separate people. Everybody didn't go with Django.
Right.
Majority stayed a beast of the field just because of the hex of that brand name too, because it stunts you. Absolutely stunts you. Yeah, I yield more.
Yeah, no doubt. Was that the end of that one, or
I think that was it was two. Was that the one with the two
articles in one? Because it
Sorry.
looked like they started another one. Okay, but that is from 1921, though. 1921. Oh yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, bet. Yeah. So for that to be an announcement, in the New York Times and whatnot in 1921, right? We got Prophet Noble Drew Ali on the planet in the flesh at this time. And this is apparently a global concept at this time, right? That there has to be a distinction made between Moors and these brand names, and they're making these distinctions, right? So Glaoui Pasha, Morocco's most richest, sheik at that time, he was on the scene then too. So it's like they knew the Moors was melanated heavy. You had to know that, And so I think they're just making a distinction between the free class and then those that were enslaved or whatnot.
And again, that's why they couldn't tell Drew Ali anything, because what he was saying was a standard that was international.
Right. Exactly.
Like there's people who don't want to be Negro and black. That's not his own personal idea. Like this is something that's revolving at that time. And then remember all the free people that were here, and they don't want to get caught up in slavery and all that, getting to use the white fountains and whatever.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Because they weren't classified as the blacks, and they didn't want it either.
Right.
Boy wants to be black.
Yeah, because it was a slave brand. That was the reason why. You know what I mean? It wasn't the people. It was like, oh, you're not going to label me a slave. I am a Moor. I'm Moroccan. I'm of Moroccan descent. And back then, you got to remember too, there was so many people that didn't even have dark skin that was being labeled black. Like I'm talking, they looked like Glenn Beck. Like, and no cat, they was getting labeled black.
Mm-hmm.
It was never specific to a skin tone. That's the crazy part about it, because it's not a skin tone. Like in this regard, when it's applied to any people, so we can look at a so-called European and be like, oh, they're not black according to what they recognize as colors today, right? From the Creole box. Like that European ain't black. And you look at us, we like, well, we technically not black either. You know what I mean? Like, so what you said, like is it dark skin, brown skin? Is it light? Like nobody is. You know what I'm saying? Like, don't get me wrong. There are some people on this planet with very dark skin where you might say that it is, but for the majority of who it's applied to, none. It's not, especially in America. Yeah, it's definitely not. So it's really kind of crazy when you think about it. Like, but that's where it come from. It as far as it applies to people, it was a slave brand, and it didn't matter about your skin complexion. It didn't. If you got labeled that, you were considered a slave. European, African, Asian, didn't matter. Like they was labeling mad people, black, Negro, colored, all of these things. Like again, we spoke about it last month. The German lady Salome Mueller, or who they say Sally Miller. She was a blonde haired, blue eyed German woman in Louisiana, declared that she was a Negro. Facts. And mad other Europeans. So again, it's no hate, but how that word was used, it was not nationality specific. It was never intended for that, because that's not what it was. That's how you see Europeans labeled black and brown skinned people labeled black. It was never nothing to do with your nationality ever. You know what I mean? It's a slave brand.
And it's It's your own that made it stick. It's your own.
Fact.
Your own same traders that made it stick, playing that they're God and all that. Playing that they're your savior.
Facts.
You were done with the article? 'Cause
Yeah. Let's go. Where we at with the Ames joint?
the 4,000 notes joint.
Oh, all right. Let's go. Let's do that one. That's That's you. Yup. Yeah, no doubt. This one, that's crazy. Yeah. Yeah. You got
Divine. Yeah, I got it.
you got this one. Yeah. All right.
1937. So this is after, this is after Juali. This is after, people split, went their own way and all that, and started they've been raping people. Divine under oath disclaims heaven. Affidavit of Harlem Messiah says individuals hold all property used by followers. Answers former angel. Verinda Brown, fallen from favor, seeks receivership, says she gives 4,476 notes. Father Divine denied ownership and control of all the heavens and extension heavens, where he is worshipped as God by thousands of Negro and some white followers in an affidavit filed yesterday in the Supreme Court. He also denied that his following was organized into any kind of association. The affidavit declared that all the property used in connection with the Father Divine Peace missions was purchased and held by various individuals in their own right, and that it could be sold, assigned, or transferred without his knowledge or consent. A supplemental affidavit signed by John Lamb, the white follower, sometimes considered a kind of secretary, declared that Father Divine's following consisted of all those who believed in universal peace, whether or not they had ever heard of the Harlem preacher. Father Divine, he averred, occupies the same position with respect to his followers as Muhammad or Christ or Buddha do to theirs. We'll just pause there. That don't sound familiar? That sounds real familiar. 37?
Yeah.
This is 1937.
Mm-hmm.
And they're still using Noble Drew Ali's fame and nobility to push whatever agenda it is that they have.
Facts. And the first mistake was right in the first paragraph, Moore, where he's talking about they worshiped him as they do God.
Mm-hmm.
That's the idol worship. And that's what I'm saying. Like, shout out to everybody, but like that is idol worship. Like, and again, this is why like the accepted masonry, if you will, when they say most worshipful master, like I'm not with none of that, bro. Like, I'm not knocking how nobody live. I just know for myself, like, that just never sit right with me. Like, to look to another man and say, this is the most worshipful master. Like, all of the messiahs told you what they are, all men could be, and you could be greater. You could do greater things. So then how do you then look at somebody else as being something to worship or someone to worship? All praise to the Most High. You know what I'm saying? Like, real talk. Idol worship is not good.
Not where it's at.
It's just not good. It's not. Yeah.
Straight.
Word.
The two affidavits were submitted to Supreme Court Justice Philip J. McCook in opposition to an action brought by Verinda Brown, a former divine angel who fell from favor for the appointment of a receiver of all property used in connection with the peace mission movement. She claims to have contributed 4,476 notes to the movement on the understanding that Father Divine would meet all her physical wants during her lifetime. Being convinced now that the Harlem Messiah is not God, she wants her money back. William Lesselbaum, Mrs. Brown's attorney, declared to the court that the entire divine movement was contrary to public policy and should be dissolved. He urged that the movement be declared the owner of all the heavens used by it, and all property be sold, and the proceeds divided among the followers in accordance with their contributions. Father Divine was not in court, but was represented at the hearing on the motion to appoint a receiver by Arthur A. Madison, his attorney. The latter promised that there would be no transfers of any property pending trial, stipulating that he did not have power to speak for Faithful Mary, who has been threatening to sell a Kingston heaven. On this understanding, Justice McCook gave Mr. Madison an adjournment until May 27 to prepare his defense, with the direction that additional reply affidavits be served on the plaintiff by May 25th. Mr. Madison indicated that he spoke for 78 angels and followers of Father Divine who have been named as co-defendants. Justice McCook disclosed during the hearing that he has received about 50 or 60 letters from a divine follower signing himself as Joy Love or Ever Joy since the action was started. Most of the letters requested an audience with the justice. May 13, 1937.
Yeah, he had a lot of reach. A lot of people was going for it. They got people from all over involved. So I didn't know. I remember riding through Philly and it was pointed out by Taj and others, like the Divine Hotel and all of that. All of those was his former properties, or what have you. I don't know all the details, but it sounded like, people was paying in. I don't know what everything that happened, but I know it was something to do with a sellout. And like you said, a lot of stuff that was Noble Drew Ali's concepts, people took those and translated them to something different. That's crazy.
Their pocket.
Yeah.
Wyatt burned up in their pocket.
Yeah. So she says, that's wild, bro. So she wanted her money back after she felt that he wouldn't fulfill all her physical needs.
So you're not God. I've been praying.
Yeah.
I've been praying every night. And nothing happened.
Right, though.
I thought you could make bread from stones and all that.
Right. Yeah.
Like the stones, it's still stones. Me chipping my teeth and all that, thinking
Word. Crazy.
Playing people.
Yeah, yo.
I really said he's the same, occupies the same position. Occupies the same position with respect to his followers as Muhammad, Christ, or Buddha. Why do you put Noble Drew Ali's name in there?
Right, though. Yeah. Basically, that's what it's up there with. That's basically what they're saying. That's what they saying, or he's saying, and whatnot. Yeah. Crazy.
Here.
Christ, Muhammad.
1937. You see, they weren't using. That's not 4,000 gold and silver from 37.
Could have been, bro. You never know.
That'd be crazy if it was 4,000.
Yeah, it could have been. You know, maybe not, but it could have been. They weren't that far removed as it is today. You know,
Yeah.
I can see more still having gold and
Holding on to something still.
yeah, I could see that easy. I mean, it could be. And not pocket watching, but just thinking about this is something of the past, but still looking at it like real talk. That is very much so possible because a lot of people think we like Moors didn't have resources and didn't enjoy luxuries in life back then. Like, yeah, that was yeah, very much so. That's who they came to get the gold from. You know what I mean? Yeah, that's a fact. And of course straight from the earth, but yeah. Yeah, you just never know, bro. Like that's that's a lot going on there. But that's why I say don't follow any one person. Like just see if what they saying is true. Study for yourself, and if it is, then you can go with that path. But to be blind followers. But again, a lot of people like it's about the materialism. That's why I was saying earlier more about you can't really buy your way out of the Negro problem.
Yeah.
You can't buy your way out of it because you could get you could get all this money, so-called money, FRNs, whatever, and you go to purchase some property, but then you still get taxed, right? Like so, you still got to keep spending on your. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? So how long can you keep that up? And then the issue is it's just fundamentally wrong. Like if you buy something, it should be yours flat out. Like you bought it. But nah, oh, you want sewage? That's a tax. Instead, they don't call it a service. If you had property and you was trying to get the water bill, all of this turned up, like they call it a tax.
That should be a service.
Yeah, it's actually a service, but they call it a tax. And if you don't pay that, instead of just getting your service shut off, they feel like they got the right to take your property because you didn't pay a tax when it's really not even that. Like it's that's unethical to me. Like it just don't make sense. That is a service. That has nothing to do with that. It shouldn't anyway. You
Right.
know. Yeah, but again, that's crazy. So they do that, and it's cheap people's estates and whatnot. Just offers simple stuff like that. Just this is why you gotta be aware. Like, and I'm not. I know it's important, but the way they word things, it just puts it in a different category, which it doesn't belong. Like, you know what I mean? Getting your trash picking up by the city or whatnot. That's not a tax. That's a service. You pay for the service. Like, I mean, it's crazy. Like that's what it's supposed to be for to pay into. But direct service like water and that's a service, bro. I don't see how that's a tax for who. It's a natural resource. So if you could make that service flow through the house, then that's a service. But that's anything outside of that is crazy.
Moore said in the chat, robbery without a weapon.
Yeah, real talk. Shout out to everybody in the chat before I ain't been checking it. Yeah. Yeah, man. Super crazy. But yeah, more.
I got this other one up for you right now. The donuts.
Oh yeah. After that, we could probably spin back. Yeah, I just wanted to read something from this one here. The first two paragraphs, it just said a lot. This one stuck out to me because it was a mention of Moors right off the bat. My fault. I don't know. Let me see. I don't know. We got bad articles. I thought I pulled them all up and I did not. So if you don't mind, just give me a second or if
no worries. Yeah, it's on the screen.
Okay, all right, bet that. Give me 1 second now. I'll pull it up on mine. Yeah, because I don't have my glasses and that's like really small print. So just give me 1 second. I'm gonna pull this from my file and read it so I can see. Hmm. Yeah, but this puts some things in perspective. Let me just get 1 second here, fam, and I'm gonna get this right. All right. Um, all right, hold up, 1 sec. All right, bet that. So where we at? From Donetsk to Kara right? Um, hold on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
From Donetsk to Kara.
From Donetsk and Kara to Sandblast and Darlinga. It says memories of swarthy Moors battling, and this is from 1929. So, right. So it says memories of swarthy Moors battling the forces of Christendom on the rolling plains of Andalusia, of proud Cossacks sweeping over the steeps of Muscovy in the days of Stenka Razin and Tsar Boris Godunov, are recalled by, placed in the news of the old world. Again, the staunch little icebreaker Krasin has achieved a triumph in the frozen North Seas, while Germany is testing a new flying monster to make sky records in the New World. The Georgia hills, alluring seekers of gold. We were just talking about the gold. Near our own New York doors, the last traces of an old canal, an engineering wonder of a century ago, are blotted out, right? So it says, about 8 centuries ago, a great earthquake devastated that part of Russia, which is now the Ukraine, and blotted out the then populous Slavonic city of Donetsk. A few days ago, some laborers digging an excavation for a modern factory dug up some relics which evidently came from the ancient city. The fertile steeps in the vicinity of Old Donetsk along the Don and Donetsk Little Don rivers have for centuries been home of the Cossacks, noted in fact and fable. Love of fighting and undaunted courage were characteristics of these old colorful people. And so I was thinking about that because it it confirmed that, about 8 centuries ago, at that time, 1921, so we can say about 9 centuries ago now, there was a great earthquake, that changed the landscape. But also, it was acknowledging that there was some relics that I guess was once part of Russia that are now or part of what is now Ukraine. So when you look at things like that, or when I look at things like that, it makes me think, what are they really fighting for? It's probably old dominion and territory, because it definitely has value. It absolutely has value if they find in relics and things like that. So I just really want to highlight that because in every culture and civilization, they always make reference to the earthquake that happened. You know what I mean? Yeah. So that's all I really wanted to highlight.
Yeah.
All right. For sure.
Yeah, and you already know everything always, once it ties back to Noble Drew Ali, we're looking at it as prophecy. Yeah, these are things. These are things that have been told, and we're seeing it happen over and over again. When will the people realize? When would they realize? Because everybody has their relics,
right?
Everybody has their history. Going back again to all the archaeological things that we're talking about, and in the oral statements, Drew Ali digging in the ground and pulling out stuff. Moors going to Unity Hall to stand on those steps. Like we have our own relics. We have our stuff. And everything that they pull up from wherever looks like us. Everything they find has some connection to these dark-skinned people. These people that could braid their hair and cane row and locks and do all these amazing things right in their face today. And the only ones who don't know that we're the ancient returns, our own. Always looking for something instead of within.
Facts.
No. Yeah, it's good to know. What is it? Yeah, this is 1929.
Exactly.
Directly in Noble Drew Ali's time. Well, he was gone for months. Some months he was murdered already. This is November.
Yeah. But it's still the same era though, like in that sense, you know, like it's that era. It's a transitional time, but that's still the same year, you know. And so it's like this was a known thing. It wasn't foreign to people. It wasn't like it was some mythology. These are actual geological facts, mainstream geological facts. At that, you know. And because they know, geologists already know what time it is, that the world was once all together. You know what I mean? So I'm rocking with. I think a geologist knows a little bit more than, you know, somebody who thinks they're American Indian.
Yeah.
No, real talk. I don't mean this in no disrespectful way. You know what I mean? Like, right? I'm if we had to read a book right now about, you know what I mean, the history of the world, like who you rocking with? A geologist or somebody who found out about being indigenous 2 years ago who's a claiming American Indian? You know what I mean? Like I'm just rocking with the geologists on that regard. I'm sorry, no disrespect, you know, but cause many of them already have come to the conclusion, especially archaeologists, that there's a civilization way older than this. And now today they acting like they the only ones that existed and everybody else here is foreign and they, you know what I mean? Like got history totally chopped, you know? Totally chopped. So yeah, shout out to everybody, you know, but this is how I feel about it.
Straight.
Yeah. Yeah. Word more.
Yeah, yo. Was there anything? Did we get all of them?
I think we good for the evening, bro. Yeah, I gotta be prepared to tend to some stuff. So I gotta get ready to bust moves, you know.
Good more.
Yeah. But I do appreciate every session, man. I hope everybody gonna have a great natural new year this year, you know. The alignments was crazy. So, you know, transitions is real. So I just trust that everybody is good shifting forward. Like you said at the beginning of the show, man, it's about springing forward, you know, and it's all right, straight like that. So yeah, y'all, I look forward to the next session. And I look forward to just, you know, communicating in the meanwhile, straight like that.
No, carrying it on.
Yeah, for sure.
That's all we can do.
Yeah. Shout out to everyone in the chat, you know, and yeah, we look forward to rolling some things out soon, real soon. It's gonna be good, and I just can't wait to say it. You know what I mean? Like, but it's things are going well, you know. So yeah, Moors, y'all stay safe. Always a great session, always an honor. Keep doing what you do, bro. Again, I do appreciate the sessions you have, the ones I'm able to catch, and definitely the one you did all the Canaanland Moors did last week. Shout out to you all. Need more of it. I hope y'all do a part 2 with Nature and Taj and whatnot. That was pretty dope, you know.
It's definitely working on it.
No doubt, no doubt.
Honors to all the Moors worldwide. Honors to all the Moors in the chat. And of course, don't forget, happy holy day to all the Moors. Happy holy day to you, Miss.
Yes, and same to you all. And I do want to say, if you don't know, my mom, she does every day. She does a go-to meeting every Wednesday. If y'all have tapped in, shout out to y'all. Y'all know how it is over there. If you haven't, don't miss them. You know what I mean? Like they really be good sessions too every Wednesday. Also, Sister Karima do her thing. You know, she pointed out something that I find profound. I'll say this before we go, but it's in CM Bay's when it gives the Moorish electric coloring signals. You know what I mean? In her last session, she brought that out, and it was really dope because when you think about it, it just makes sense. You know, black being the lowest voltage, 0, no light. You know. And then just taking on up from auras and color codes. So I just thought that was dope. Y'all definitely might want to check in on those sessions if you can. You know, if not, hey, listen, we always doing something. So y'all stay safe in the meanwhile, all right? Islam. Peace, Moors. Yeah. All right.
I'm always gonna get you in. What?
I'm rocking. Who says we ain't in the building? Who says we ain't into building? We the Moorish master masons, architects for your children, repping Friday 13th like Jason without the killing. But we promote life, it's all about the feeling. And we invoke light, yo, we them light beings. Though you might see him on the block getting this passion, might be talking to cops, giving them caution. Occasionally wearing his fez when he's walking, see the turning heads, whispering gawking. But he's locked in and he's zoned out while we boxed in our own house.
We study the mystics, the adepts, the magi, wisdom of the ancients can uncalcify us. Possible mission, free mental numbness, extract the substance, rid minds of dumbness. Use the source, don't care what some purport, as we know by being told man knows not. Many before the floor, souls got bought, placed in the devil's hands, ruling the 7 lands. To dogma rituals, Negro spirituals, brainwash subliminal, keeps thinking to a minimal. They're still criminal, in a world digital so pitiful. Mental survival so critical, it's visible. Can you see past righteous blocks? Hashtag zombies with waves of cyber thoughts. No need for cell phones, they speak through saw palms. It's nothing for alarm, chips and forearms.
Wind, brass, and bass, such a beautiful serenade. Women feeding me grapes, I'm feeding the new serenades. Whether the sky is clear or gray, rain when you hear a fake, giving life to seed. Speaking through who not here today. Show you the future in a glimpse. And always look to these holes like hallucinatory pimps. Sun walked the desert, been more of a since I found God. Look back, used to see his prince. Forget being a prince, I'm a G. OD, grown man, no Jody. Deny it, you don't know me. Don't make me tap into the old me. That's like a couple 100 years. Walk around town with a couple 100 peers and release the peace of her fears. The sun gon' shine, so what tears? This young brother here just trying to get his third eye clear.
Ish, deep. Moors don't sleep, invest in your mind and body and unleash. Real life rap, spitting over tracks, conscious thinking and living and then attack. Ish, deep. Moors don't sleep, invest in your mind and body and unleash. Real life rap, spitting over tracks, conscious thinking and living and then attack.
So as the moon sets, the sun takes its place as spoons on blocks, inspired spots, filled spaces, peel back, rats, who got cases, fire stain the corridors of flemo faces, game changers, rule benders and no pretenders, style lenders, channel my vibe through the vibrant optic lenses, send a message to our veterans, soldiers up and get it in, we on our verge, we are merged, subliminal beings, third eye seeing, still I participate unwilling.
They wanna break me, shape, break, grade me, rolling with my main G, double OMG, SON is crazy. For a minute that you think you could take me for a fool, like a native to his land, being schooled by a foreign dude. You mistaken me, spiders on the roof, in the dark tools, I be saying you mistaken me. You better move or I'll mark it. Power pin is my tongue, your existence to target, revealing all lies and deceit on the market. Genocide, carry out in pockets, I knock it down, bulldozer. closer. David to Goliath, it's an exposure. Some big cats ruling and it's getting closer to your downfall. Round up all your soldiers.
Little homie, I was seeking a fortune, tired of misfortune. I just wanted a portion, everything that I never had, though I needed my portion. Blowing like porcelain, haters fragile as porcelain. Getting broke, tired of being broke. How we acquire hope is the DJ skilling some dope, just to keep us afloat. Mind as deep as the boat, brain is a lethal weapon. We want it to elope. When I speak, I provoke. Walk in the room with my aura feeling like heavy smoke. Feel like when the levee broke under my Louis fitted the semi-poke. Cause dirty cops are killing, boy, you ain't a joke. The cost of living, higher profits in private prison. These little girls are selling bodies just to pay tuition. These little niggas selling niggas just for bail condition. It's like the slavery never ended with the intermission. I wanna free the world, but I'm one man. A couple ones like me and me one plan. I wanna free the world, but I'm one man. A couple ones like me and one plan.